Let's take a moment to just kind of wiggle around in the feet there. Or maybe rock back and forth. I'll move my blocks out of the way so that you can see. And then find stillness in those feet and turn the palms forward. Reach the crown of the head to the ceiling, toward the ceiling, and let's close the eyes. So taking these lovely few moments at the beginning as we begin the gentle yoga practice to exhaust all the senses. The most dominant sense being vision. So simply closing the eyes takes us a long way on that inward journey. And then closing the mouth if that's comfortable as well, and breathing through the nose only. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Feel the places where your clothing contacts your skin. Maybe slightly rock back and forth again on the feet and lift the toes, spread them wide, wiggle them around, and then settle back in and re-feel that places of contact between your feet and the mat. And listen in all directions, being the witness to each individual sound without letting any one sound distract you. Noticing if there are any smells in your space, experiencing them, and then letting them go. Bringing your awareness to Chitta Kasha, the space behind the closed eyes. Considering what you would like to bring to the mat today and setting an intention around that. Find a word or maybe a few words that would describe what you are bringing to the mat and repeat them to yourself mentally 3 times. Visualize this intention as a seed that you have physically planted in mind and body, and which your practice will nourish. Now bring your awareness again to the soles of the feet. Gently shift the body backward so that you feel that more weight is loaded into the heels, and then maybe the toes start to lift or the balls of the feet start to lift. And then shift forward ever so subtly so that you feel more weight in the balls of the feet. Lift the toes as you're doing that. And then release the toes down. And then just settle back again so that you feel like your body weight is equally distributed over both heels, the base of both big toes, and the base of the pinky or baby toes. If you need to wiggle your feet around a little bit to find that balance, please do. And now bring your awareness back to the breath. Now that we've made that grounding feeling really strong in the body, bring your awareness to the breath and follow the breath. Follow the inhalation and follow the exhalation. Feel free to keep the eyes closed as we bring in some larger gross motor movements. Inhale, circle the arms up to the side. Bring the hands so they're stacked right over the shoulders. And then exhale, lower the right arm down and at the same time, side bend to your right, pushing that left foot into the mat. And then inhale, bring that right arm back up again so it stacks over the shoulders. And exhale again to that same side. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper, pulling that left shoulder back as you're going into the side bend. One more time on that. Inhale up. And then exhale into the side bend. Inhale up. Let's switch arms. So keep that right arm stacked. Exhale the left arm down, move into the side bend. And then inhale up, and we'll do that 2 more times, bringing that arm up. I almost forgot to bring my own arm up. And then exhale into the side bend. Inhale, come up again with that arm. And exhale, move into that side bend. Inhale up, palms to touch this time. Maybe gaze at the palms for a moment. See what kind of range of motion you have in your neck today. And then exhale, draw the head to neutral and bring the hands to the heart center. Actively press both hands in together. So it's kind of like you're resisting that work of pressing in with both hands. Lift the elbows up a little bit higher and then release them down, but still keeping that pressing of the hands. Release the energy of the right hand and use the left hand to press it to the side. Inhale up to center and exhale, do the same thing on the other side. Inhale up to center and exhale, press both hands firmly into each other, drawing the elbows in and down as you do that. And then inhale, separate the hands and bring the arms to cactus pose. Trying to pull the hands back as far as you can. So maybe if possible, you're stacking your hands over top of your elbows. If they're a little bit forward, but you're pulling back with the hands as far as you can, that's just your range of motion. Stay with that. And then inhale, reach the arms up, trying to imagine that those arms are stuck between two boards and they're just sliding up, staying in that plane. And then exhale back down to the start position. Let's do that 2 more times. So inhale up. So imagine that you're trying to pull those hands back as far as you can as you're reaching up. Exhale back down. And again, inhale up and exhale back to that cactus pose. Inhale, pull the arms and hands back as far as you can. And then exhale, press the hands down to the heart center again. Touch the thumb to the breastbone. Inhale, lift the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. And exhale, turn the whole of the head to the right. Inhale back to center, whole of the head to the left. Let's do that 2 more times, ensuring that you're working with the breath. So inhaling to center, exhale, turning to the right. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn to the left. Back to center. Turn to the right. Eyes can be closed. Back to center. Turn to the left. And back to center. Nice. Just stay here for a nice breath. Full inhale and exhale. Release the arms down to the side again in Tadasana. Palms are facing forward. Eyes can be open or closed. Inhale, turn the palms away from you. So the thumbs are turning back to the space behind you and your palms are facing away. Exhale, pull the backs of the hands closer to the body. And then inhale, bring the arms up so your body's in a T formation. Palms are facing the ceiling now. So they've just stayed in place, but they've ended up facing the ceiling. Bring them back down on the exhale. Inhale, come back up. Keeping the shoulders relaxed as you do that. Exhale, back down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, release them down. Palms are still facing away from you, thumbs pointing backwards. And then inhale to turn the palms to face front again, and maybe close the eyes and just take one full breath here in this Tadasana pose. Inhaling, arms come up to the side, hands stack over the shoulder, face the palms forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Keep the crown of the head reaching away from that tailbone. And then when you come to about halfway, bring the hands to the thighs and find that rounding up in the spine. Follow the breath. Inhale, find cow in the upper body. Exhale, round and find cat. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, round to cow. Exhale, round to cat. And again. And up. Stay in this cat position. So stay in this spinal flexion position. As the inhale arrives in your body, imagine that you're trying to really open up through the back of the rib cage there, creating space between the lungs and the heart and the rib cage. Take one more inhale here, visualizing that space. And then exhale, slide the hands down the body as far as feels comfortable for you. So maybe you're landing somewhere at the shins. See what range of motion your body can do today. Let the head relax. Every exhale, maybe an opportunity to slide a little bit farther. And then inhale, come all the way up. Finding Tadasana again, releasing the hands forward again. Beautiful. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead. Palms can touch. Exhale, hands to the heart center. Well, let's do one of our favorite balancing poses, tree pose. Let's make our way there slowly. Shift your body weight to the left leg. Bend the right knee. So I'm mirroring you right now. And then open that knee to the side and slide the heel over that opposite ankle. If you want to, have a wall nearby, or you could even shuffle one leg up against a couch or a chair or something, just so you're feeling a little more grounded. But if you would like to challenge your core to that stabilization work, stay clear of the wall or chair. Take your right hand down to that right inner thigh and just open up that knee a little bit more. And if you want to, keep that hand there and then bring that foot up to the calf muscle. Or maybe you can play a little bit today and bring it up to the inner thigh. So choose the place where you want to be. Your foot is pressing into the muscle, whether that be the calf muscle or the inner thigh muscle. Your foot is pressing in and the muscle is resisting. That hand can still be on that inner thigh to just open up a little bit more there. And then return that right hand to Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Nice. You may wobble a little bit. That's okay. Just like a tree does, bring yourself back. Bring your core in toward the center, like bring those abdominals in toward the center of the body. And now let's return to cactus pose. Take a nice inhale here, breathe. And then exhale, straighten out the arms, turn the palms toward the ceiling, and inhale, pull those thumbs back as far as you can go, keeping the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Take a full deep breath here. And then exhale, press the hands back to the heart center. Take your time with this. Release the knee forward and then place that foot back down on the mat. Just take a moment to walk, maybe close the eyes. When you have these moments where you're not balancing, feel free to close the eyes because our eyes do a lot to help us stay balanced. And so sometimes when we just close the eyes, we really just let go of that work that we had to do to stay balanced. And then open the eyes again because you'll want something steady to gaze at. Shift your body weight to the right foot this time, bend the left knee and open it to the side. Slide that heel over that opposite ankle. You'll feel that the base of support is narrowing already. So you'll feel already you're kind of checking in with your core and your stability. Release the left hand down to that inner thigh and press the leg open a little bit. As you do that pressing, the pelvis, the hips are staying perfectly steady to get that deeper opening through that left hip. You can keep your hand there if you want to as you bring your foot up to the calf, or if you're bringing your foot up to that inner thigh. Hopefully you're looking at something more steady than me today. As soon as your foot connects with that muscle, it's like there's a magnetic attraction. The foot's pushing in, the muscle is resisting. That is really, I would say that's your main point of integrity. I mean, our vision is huge, obviously. Navel to spine can help. Side body in toward the center helps. Shoulder blade squeezing helps. But that muscle to foot connection is a way of actually grounding, of finding a grounding place. Okay, let's stay with this. And then open the arms up to cactus pose again. So shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Shoulder blades are squeezing. Opening up through that chest as much as possible, hands pulling back. And then straightening out those arms, turning the palms toward the ceiling, thumbs are pointing behind you, and pull those thumbs back as far as you can to really open through that chest. Breathe here, strong connection between foot and muscle. So good. Nice way to open up through the hips. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, press those hands back to the heart center. Take your time here. You're still staying in tree pose with the feet. And now release that knee forward and place that foot down. Beautiful. Just walk it out. Take your right hand over to the outside edge of your left hip, and then take that left hand behind to your low back. It's like you're holding your pelvis in place as you twist your upper body over top of the lower body. You could even actively pull on the hip to try and keep it pulling forward as you are twisting the upper body backward. Take a full deep breath here. And then release, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So left hand coming over to the outside edge of that right hip, right hand behind to the low back. Visualize that you're holding that pelvis steady. Reach the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. Exhale, bring yourself into that twist. And you're really supporting your pelvis here in its steadiness as your upper body is moving over top of that stationary pelvis. Breathe. Follow the breath and stay with it. Every time you inhale, imagine that you're inviting ease into the body. And every time you exhale, visualize that you are exhaling out dis-ease. Inhale back to center and release the arms down. If you'd like to, take the hands to the waist and walk the feet out quite wide. And so if you're facing the top of your mat, your feet will probably even come outside of the edges of your mat. Now, think nice and tall through the spine, and then exhale, bend the knees and the hips and come down into a low, wide-footed squat here. Now, aim to have the upper arms coming down in between the inner thighs. That isn't quite there for you. You could put your hands on the floor. Equally, you could take a block and just rest your hands on the block. That might be easier. So just find a place where you can rest easy. And then if you have your hands on a block, take a moment to just bring one hand to one thigh and open it, and then one hand to the other one. So just trying to ease through those hips, lift up all the toes, wiggle them for a moment. You want to have your feet so wide and really grounded on your feet that your toes can lift up and wiggle. Ah, feels good. And now let's take those hands right down to the floor and make our way right onto the belly. So from here, going straight down onto the belly. Forearms are on the mat and your elbows are under the shoulders. Palms are down on the mat. Now, once you have those arms in place, just wiggle around through the hips and check in with the tops of the thighs and the tops of the feet. And feel like the earth is connecting to both of those, or actually all of those places equally. Take 3 full breaths here. Sphinx pose. Sometimes there's a discomfort in the low back here, but it's really nice to settle into the back bend. Breathe. Now stay in the Sphinx pose. Actively press the palms and the forearms into the mat and imagine that you're dragging them backward and see if you find a little more back bend in this Sphinx. And if you can, stay with that and breathe for another 3 breaths. And then let's release all the way down to the mat. Let the elbows come out to the sides, stack the palms, and rest the forehead on the stacked palms. Rock the hips from side to side. And then find stillness in the hips. Take a moment to bring awareness to your feet. Really point the toes as far away from your body as you can, and then release. And then tuck the toes, spread the toes wide, and walk through the soles of the feet there. Just wake them up a little bit. Find stillness in the feet. Untuck the toes, tops of the feet laying on the mat again. Inhale, bring yourself back up to Sphinx pose again. Sometimes when we do something the second time, our body is able to tap into ease more easily. So again, elbows are under the shoulders. Actively press the hands and the forearms into the mat. First of all, that may help you to find the deeper back bend. And then to actually imagine that you're dragging the arms back and the hands back might invite even deeper back bend. Feel the work here through the lumbar spine and the thoracic spine, and let the head just follow. This time, take 5 deep breaths here. Two more breaths. Then lowering the forehead down, letting the elbows go wide, stacking the palms again. Rest the forehead on those stacked palms. Bend both knees. And just do an easy windshield wiper movement with both those lower legs to just neutralize through the spine. Finding stillness, lowering both legs. Walk out through the thighs again so that you feel that the thighs and tops of the feet are equally connected to the earth. Release the forehead from the stacked palms right down to the mat. Slide the palms back so that they are in line with your rib cage and the fingertips are in line with the nipples. Imagine that the elbows are pulling toward each other, and then press your hands into the mat and drag back a little bit to find cobra pose. So another back bend, but different than Sphinx, not quite as supported, a little more active. So really working through the arms, press down into the mat and drag back. Maybe close the eyes and breathe here for 2 more breaths. Relax through the shoulders. Hands are actively dragging back and pressing in, and the elbows are pulling toward each other. And now exhale and lower that forehead down to the mat. Bring the arms alongside you with the palms facing down and the thumbs pointing away. Rock the hips from side to side. Forehead is connected to the mat here. So are the thighs and the top of the feet. Find stillness in the hips. Keep the forehead to the mat. Inhale, lift both legs up. Stay there, breathing. And then release down. Now this inhale, option to lift just the legs or just the upper body or both. So inhale, maybe just the legs, maybe just the upper body, maybe both. Wherever and whatever you're doing, stay there for 3 full breaths. And 1 more full deep breath. And then lower back down to the mat. Stack the palms again underneath the forehead. Bend the knees, thighs are still on the mat. Windshield wiper movement through the lower legs. Coming back to center, release the lower legs down. Follow the breath, and when the next exhale arrives, actively pull the navel toward the spine and keep it engaged. Keep imagining that you're pulling it toward the spine, and then release the hands out from underneath the forehead and press yourself all the way back to child's pose. So big toes are touching, knees go wide, and I invite you to bring a block to this party here on the child's pose so that you start with your forehead resting on the block at whatever height would feel like it's really easy for you, like you found a really easy place to rest. And just take a few breaths there. Your hands can be around the block if that feels comfortable. Now, maybe just take a moment to wiggle a little bit. See if you can press your hips a little closer to your heels. If it's comfortable for you and it's handy, if you have a cushion handy, you could place it between the hips and the heels so that you actually feel your heels connecting with the cushion and your hips. And then use the block again for your forehead. Take it a little bit lower. Now, if you had the block on the lowest height, remove it so that your forehead is resting on the mat. Arms can reach forward and bring a lot of awareness to the low back and the thoracic spine, the back of the rib cage. Every inhale, imagine that you are expanding and stretching out the back. And as you exhale, if it feels comfortable, pull the navel toward the spine and see if you can settle in even more deeply to this child's pose. Invite ease into this pose. It is called child's pose and it's meant to be a restorative pose, but sometimes it's not, depending on what's going on in your joints. So check in with the joints. If they are just not finding ease, feel free to shuffle around and find a prop to help you out, or to completely shift your position to something that might be more comfortable, but that still has you connecting with that earth element. Low to the ground. When you're ready, walk yourself back up. Make your way to a seated position. And it's often nice to sit on a cushion when you're seated so that your hips are elevated, and that assists you to find a more natural curve in the lumbar spine. If you are quite happy just sitting directly on your mat, please do that. Now, let's bring the soles of the feet together here for a moment. Hands to the shins, just above the ankles, and just take a moment to pull the heels a little bit closer. Let's think about the toes for a minute. Press the big toes together and pull the other toes away. Now I've got my hands on my big toes. Maybe take the hands away, keep pressing the big toes toward each other, pull the other toes away, and then release. And then hands at the shins again, pull the heels in, press the forearms into the inner thighs. And as you do that, reach the rib cage forward, letting the head simply follow. So the head is not the leader here. The rib cage is the leader. It's leading the way. And the goal is to try and maintain a curve in that lumbar spine. And when I say a curve, I mean a natural lordotic curve there. Yeah. Breathe. Feel free to close the eyes and keep pressing open those inner thighs. So this is another way to neutralize the spine after we did all those back bends. And when I say back bends, I mean the Sphinx and the Cobra and the locust and locust variations that we did with our belly on the mat. One more full deep breath here. And then bring the body all the way up. Then find easy pose. So cross-legged pose, doesn't matter which foot is in close and which is far away. Reach for your blocks. Stack them probably at the highest height in front of your legs. And you may need to shuffle where they are in terms of forward and back. And then exhale, forehead releases down to those blocks. Again, breathe space into the low back, into the thoracic spine. Take a moment there. When you feel like you found ease in this, explore a little bit where you can go in this forward fold. Maybe you could take that top block to the mid height and your forehead could find a place to rest there. Or maybe it could go to the lowest height. Or maybe even you could take it completely away just using one block. It's possible you may be able to go right down to the floor, but the important thing here is to take it incrementally, step by step, so that you're really easing into this fold. And with your forehead supported,
Take the hands behind you. Use your left hand to reach just above your right wrist. And then just relax there. The key is to find a place where your forehead is fully supported. If 2 full blocks at their highest height is not enough for you, you could put a cushion or something on top of those 2 blocks. If you have one of the large bolsters, you could even put that on its end and rest your forehead on the top. Feel free to ask me about that if you need some ideas for prop use here. One more full inhale and exhale here. And then release the hands, bring them along slightly in front of you so that you can use your arms to press yourself up so that we're not using the back muscles on this one. We're really using our arms. And then once you're here, we need to do the same thing on the other Sukhasana. So the leg that's farther away comes in closer, and the one that's in closer moves farther away. And usually we always choose one side as a preferential side. So again, let's start from the beginning. The blocks are stacked. And you may have stayed at the beginning. That may have been that range of motion for you today. That's perfectly fine to just stay there and hang out and breathe. So take an inhale first, and then exhale, start to fold. Sometimes it helps to pull the navel to the spine to release the muscles in the back. Find a place with your forehead stacked on the top of those blocks and stay here for at least 3 breaths and just allow the body to settle in. Remember, it may be that you stay here. It may be that after these 3 breaths, you are comfortable with increasing the range of motion by maybe going to the middle height, maybe going to the lowest height, maybe taking the block away. Find that really sweet spot where your forehead is supported, but you are feeling that you're challenging the range of motion through the low back and the hips. And once you feel that you are supported and that you've got that nice stretch happening, take the hands behind you, and with your right hand this time, just hold above the left wrist. So it's like you're putting your hand around that forearm, and then just relax the arms on the body there. Feeling deeply supported here. At this time of year, as we get closer to the winter solstice, which is on December 21st this year, in yoga practice, we traditionally go inward, almost like an animal hibernating. We get closer to the earth. And we find support in the earth and we draw strength from it. One more full deep breath here. And then releasing the hands, bringing them down to the mat in front of you and actively pushing so that the work through the arms is what's bringing the body up and off that block. Lovely. Let's make our way onto our backs. You won't need the blocks anymore. You can move them off to the side if you like. You also will not need your bolster unless you'd like to put it under your thighs during Shavasana. So let's make our way to that Shavasana. You can roll from your side, or you can keep the knees bent and going to the forearms. And let's actually land with our knees bent. Feet are hip width distance. Take a moment to walk the shoulders away from the ears. Bring the palms so they're facing up, so you're finding that nice opening in the shoulders. And then lift up that right foot and just turn the knee out to the side so that you can lay that right ankle, or just above the ankle, over that left thigh. Press the right hand into that inner thigh, so push it away. Keep the head always connected to the back of the mat here.
It may be that you like to have a cushion under your head at this point. That's a great idea if it would feel better for you. Now release that energy of pushing away the right inner thigh. Keep the back of the head connected to whatever it's lying on. And then bring the whole of that leg configuration in toward the body and thread your right arm through and meet the left hand behind that left inner thigh. Hug in your legs in that formation. And as you're doing that, press your right forearm into that right inner thigh. So you're kind of pushing that right leg away as you're hugging the left one in. And then stay with that for 5 breaths. Coming up to our last breath. As you exhale on that 5th one, release that left foot back down to the mat. And then release that right leg from on top of that left thigh. And just notice if your shoulders have walked up toward your ears. And if they have, just kind of shuffle around and walk them back down. And now this time we're lifting that left foot up off the mat and pivoting that leg around so that that left ankle or just above the ankle rests on that right thigh. Remember, back of the head is staying connected to the earth. Left hand to that left inner thigh, press it open. Stay with that, breathing for a moment. And now releasing that energy of pushing open that left thigh, back of the head still grounded. Reach that right hand down and start to pull that leg configuration in toward the chest. Left arm can thread its way through. Interlace the fingers behind, maybe interlace the awkward way. Use your left forearm to press open that left inner thigh, and at the same time, use your hands and arms to pull in that right leg, which has the effect of stretching out through that left glute muscle into the piriformis. For many people, this is a deeply relaxing stretch. Stay here for 5 breaths. Find ease in the upper body so your head is completely supported. Last exhale, slowly releasing that right foot back down to the mat. And then when that's made that connection to the earth, uncrossing that left leg. Walk the shoulders away from the ears again. Imagine that you're reaching the crown of the head to the space behind you. Arms down along the side with the palms up. Press both feet into the mat and just lift the hips up an inch or so off the mat. And then lay the hips back down, making sure to find that nice curve in the lumbar spine. Crown of the head is still reaching to the space behind you. Feel free to stay here, or if you want to, you could walk the feet away to the outside edge of the mat and let the knees come together. Or extend the legs into full Shavasana. Use the props that are comfortable for you and let the feet fall away from the midline. Settle into this Shavasana, knowing that this is considered the most important pose in yoga. It is considered important for mental and spiritual health, connecting to our mortality. That connection to our mortality giving us a profound appreciation for the life that we have right now. Even in more Western thought of physiology, this is a really good pose for our body. It fully supports the spine in a nice posture, opens up through the shoulders and the chest, opens up through the front of the hips. Especially if you can eventually make your way to Shavasana without any props. As you lie in this Shavasana, invite heaviness into the whole body. Heavy in both legs, heavy in both hips. Both arms are heavy. The shoulders are heavy. The back of your head is heavy. Feeling heaviness all the way down the spine. The whole body is heavy. That heaviness inviting a stillness into the whole body. That stillness in the body, inviting a stillness into the mind. Bringing your awareness to Chitta Kasha. Return to the intention that you set at the beginning of your practice. Repeat it to yourself mentally 3 times. Knowing that this seed that you've planted, this intention, if you can visualize it with the nourishment from your practice, it is becoming reality. With your awareness now at the eyebrow center, visualize a tiny, brilliant flame. Bring all of your awareness to that flame. If a thought comes into your mind, imagine that it's like a cloud floating by a window and it just vanishes from sight. And all of your awareness is on that flame. Focus so intently on that flame that you become the flame. Now bringing your awareness to the breath, deepening it by expanding through the belly and the side body, the rib cage. Maybe inviting an audible sigh into your exhale, or at least opening the mouth. And then bringing in awareness to your whole body by wiggling the toes and moving the feet, wiggling the fingers and moving the hands, maybe inviting movement into the shoulders, rocking the head from side to side. And then linking movement and breath together, take an inhale and find a really big stretch in the body. As you exhale, bend the knees and roll to one side. Press yourself up to a seated position. And then rest the hands with the palms up. And this is a nice time to close the eyes again and just invite all the positive energy that was created by you and others joining this practice. And visualizing that positive energy pouring into those open palms and spreading to every cell in the body, in your body. And then hands come to the heart center and bowing inward to ourselves and to each other. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this gentle yoga practice today. As always, we will check in with the goddesses. Never know what's going to come from these goddesses, but it's interesting how it's often just the right message. Yes, right there. Sedna, infinite supply. You are supplied for today and all of your tomorrows. That is a really beautiful sentiment and energy, isn't it? Sedna.